Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. So today on the call, we have, as I'm sure everyone has seen in the press of late, we are growing rapidly. We have some new teammates that we want to introduce. We're also going to go through our Everest trip and talk through the latest qualifiers, as well as talk about the cash contest standings, and then talk about the holiday party. We're also going to highlight 4 big wins that the engineering team is going to walk through. Then Mike Pereira is going to go over just industry technology updates. Gary Jacobs is going to walk through some supplier updates we have. Kinka is going to go through the value creation plan. I am going to talk through kind of the channel as we now live in it as a big happy family, and and then lastly Q&A. Sound good? Perfect. Go ahead, Kat. New teammates. In the last couple weeks, we announced 2 acquisitions. One with the Cannon Group, which is a life cycle and technology management firm out of Philadelphia, and the other is Realcomm Solutions out of Dallas, Texas. Chris Cannon is now the managing director of that division within Bridgepointe. Eric Russo is the senior vice president of that division. And then Charlie Bogart is going to be running the Southwest for Bridgepointe. You know, we went through it in the press releases themselves, but 2 incredible opportunities for all of us. Scott Evers and myself have had the pleasure of meeting Chris and Eric over the last 7 months and getting an intimate understanding of the business and the opportunities that the combined entities have. And then Charlie Bogart, Scott and I go back 20 plus years, incredible human being, on top of, he built an amazing business and extremely additive to the overall go forward plan of the company. So welcome to you 3 guys. Couldn't be more excited to be working alongside of you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to go through the new teammates that we have at Bridgepointe. Alex Severance, new controller out of Philadelphia, reporting to Todd Pittman. Danielle Douglas, AT&T sales operations lead, working for Wida Razig. Frank Ahern joins the commissions group and is a revenue assurance analyst. Great to have all you guys on board. And then Shaq came over. He's going to run IT for us, reports to Ben Smith. Welcome addition, Shaq. Thanks for all your help. Mike Kovach, partner success manager Northeast, working with Dom and Owen up there. And then finally, Dave Hopper, reporting to Mike Pereira. Mike, did you want to say a few words about Dave?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Scott. So Dave is another industry veteran. He's out of South Carolina. He was the director of engineering over at CNSG. He's got a ton of channel experience, a ton of carrier experience. He knows what it feels like to support our business. He's an expert in UCaaS, CCaaS, SD-WAN, SASE, and kind of a great generalist in everything that we do. So use him. He's on the East Coast side. He's open for business. He's phenomenal, and we're so happy to have him as part of the team. So welcome aboard, Dave.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
All right, Everest cash contest and holiday party. If you could flip to the next slide. Really exciting. We've got we're heading to Riviera Maya, Mexico, and we want to break the bank on this. We're in process of doing that. Quota to reach that trip is 20,000 in booked gross commissions. Already setting a record with 19 people who have qualified. If you could flip to the next one.
Scott, just to add just real quickly before we get to the list, just a note, if you go back one slide for me, just a note, to reiterate the email that we sent out, the date has been adjusted. We got some early feedback on the first dates that we had chosen. They were buttoned up against some of the religious holidays and kids' school breaks. And we wanted to make sure that we maximized our opportunity to get everybody there. So found a block that was a little bit better. So March 5th to 8th is going to be that schedule there. Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
No, it's great. Thanks for the reminder. So in green are all the people who've qualified. The new members who have qualified since the last call, Cloud Sonnet Technologies, Inc. out of New York. That's Frank Wassenberg, Kevin Sheehan, and Mike Galidatori. Really closed a really nice deal in addition to some other ones that they had earlier in the year. So congratulations. Tony Garbarino is going to go again to another Everest trip. Congratulations, Tony. And Bill Adaletta out of the Northeast is also qualified. There's another 3 who are right on track above 18,000, and probably another 8 to 10 below them who have amazing funnels and are in the teens. So again, the more the merrier. Super excited and would love to see a lot more faces added to this list. As you guys know, the cash contest runs through the end of the year. Top 5 finishers, you can see the cash prizes over there on the right-hand side of the screen. And again, there's quite a bit of an opportunity for movement there between, numbers 10 through 2. And who knows, maybe somebody will catch Joe Vincent before the end of the year. That would be really exciting. Finally, you guys saw an invitation from us to the 20-year party in Menlo Park on December 20th. If you haven't responded, please do so. Would love to see as many of you as possible, and wanted to make sure you guys knew significant others were invited. So it'll be a typical Bridgepointe bash, great food, plenty of booze, a band, and the best part are all the people. So please come, help us celebrate 20 years and have a chance to see everybody in one place, including the new team members that we've added organically, but also, with the addition of the Cannon Group, Realcomm, and potentially more, as well as a number of strategists that have joined us as well. So hope to see as many of you as possible at that. And again, if you could just please RSVP when you get those reminders, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Big wins. Mike, do you want to talk through which engineer is going to discuss each?
Miller, if you show me the first one, I think it's Sod is on the first one. So, but just go to the first slide. I think this is Sod. So we'll let
There
Sod.
you go. Let's, hey, everybody, let's talk about Liberty Dental. Big win for Mike Miller. Well done. Congratulations. Customer out of SoCal, Orange County, in the dental insurance business. A primary use case was they took an outage, or they took a couple of big outages where they had to write big checks because they didn't meet SLAs. They were on-prem and they wanted to move, but they wanted to stay. Well, there were 2 requirements that they said. One was don't be in an earthquake zone, but more importantly, keep us close, and keep us close where LA wasn't an option. So we looked for Mike and team, and we looked for colo in Orange County, which is Evoke, Xterra, and DataBank. They eventually won with DataBank on a nice size 12 cab colo deal, but DataBank was not the cheapest solution, but they did do a phenomenal job with selling with the HIPAA compliance and so on and so forth. And they ended up, instead of moving out to Vegas or something else, stayed local, stayed where they could drive to the data center. And it's just a fantastic win with DataBank for Mike Miller and the team.
Awesome.
And since we're still on this slide, just one more thing. This was the production. One of the things that's coming is a DR opportunity. So this opportunity will keep on giving. So way to go, Mike.
Well,
We'll move on to the next one.
all right. This one is Brendan.
Yep. So my homeboy Dan, this is awesome. So I was actually I got to talk to this customer a few times, but Dan Fishman, so $85,000 in MRR, awesome. So Alliance Bernstein, leader in asset management. One of the big ones is we ran the RFP for the UC portion of this, and Dan was so closely involved with these guys, and these guys actually think very highly of Dan. Basically enabled us to partner with Zoom on their Zoom One, which basically gives you credit for video and Zoom phone. So that legacy stuff that we normally aren't able to get credit on, he got it. So this one was awesome. Nice job, Dan.
Yeah, great job, Dan.
and another UC CC one. So if anybody's looked at my calendar, you'd know how popular UC and CC are right now. Calendar booked, which is awesome. This one's Rick Ellison. 15,700 in MRR, a 3-year term. So Clearwater paper, they make tissue, paperboard, all that kind of stuff. Evolve IP won this one, which was awesome. It was both UC and CC, so great combo. Basically, Rick has worked with these guys for a long time. And this is another one that keeps popping up. Migration from premise, whether it's a Cisco or an Avaya, but premise to cloud. All those legacy companies that have always been holdouts are now starting to convert. And, Mike and I are working a dozen opportunities, it feels like, where this is a common thread, that conversion from prem to cloud. So super popular, big one right now. And I think Evolve won this one specifically because they could handle everything. So, if you guys remember Ojai, I said phones, physical phones are definitely not dead. This one proved it. They had Teams, contact center, and then the analog and physical devices. That's specifically why Evolve won this one. They could do it all. Awesome job, Rick.
Hey, Dom asked us to give a shout out to them in the North Jersey office there. We're having a little CIO executive event with Evolve and AT&T and our sales team up there. So for all of you in the conference room there's your shout out. Thanks for joining us today. Next, there we go.
JB.
As I unmute myself, another one for Mike Miller. Ease, as some of you might know, California's largest cannabis marketplace. Little north of 10K. Customers needing help with help desk, on-site tech support, lifecycle management. Our customer, as they are growing, wanted out of the IT business. Needed help with on-site deployments as I mute that phone. Onboarding, offboarding new employees or help desk. This is a great fit for Splice. They do this all day, every day. And they're they're a great fit for this.
No pun intended, John, right? They're growing and they're a growing company.
And, I don't
And
know.
apparently it's really easy too at the same time. Fantastic.
All right, so we'll go to you, Eric. Talk about a couple of these suppliers and how we've been winning with them lately. And you can start with eCentire, and then we'll get a side for storage pipe. You're on mute, Eric. We can't hear you.
We've been working with eCentire since February. We leverage their offer due to its flexible modular approach, and they can really meet customers where they're at and then kind of grow as their needs evolve, right, over time. And that's why they're kind of leveraged in more than 30 to 40% of the engagements I've been a part of. Their Atlas XDR allows for SOAR capabilities around SentinelOne, Carbon Black, and CrowdStrike via their Sumo Logic SIEM instance. And if they're invested in Microsoft and are contemplating a move there, eCentire is also well positioned there to support Defender for Endpoint and Sentinel, the SIEM, right? A little couple tidbits about them: 73% net promoter score, 97% retention rate. So it sells and it sticks, right? 15-minute MTTR SLA. Most of our providers don't articulate that. They actually averaged 8 minutes to contain. So that's good for people who have, insurance claims, supply chain, those type of things that they have to hit these kind of metrics. They have a blue team that does custom integrations. They have a true team that does the threat hunting that you have access to. And then they also have Cypher, which is the incident response arm of what they do. And that's really right of boom or post breach. So they can do that via ad hoc or retainer based. And then from the perspective of good sales beats great engineering, they present exceptionally well if you prep them correctly. They have a good way of stating the responsibility matrix, contextually relevant to what we discovered in our first meeting. And then they really show what that R means in the XDR, MDR, EDR. Is it ring the bell, which a lot of people do. And that's why we're getting a lot of brownfield, because marketing seemed like they're going to remediate it, but there's just ringing bells. So there's, teams are still, log fatigued. So, they do good at showing that R as more remediate or respond, which are the the more mature types of things that teams are looking for, especially the small ones, really looking for remediation or SOAR capabilities, which I mentioned earlier, right? Automation. And then their mock-up further validates that, and they kind of show you in a timeline how a breach occurs, given your ecosystem, and how that will be solved for and remediated. That's it. Saad, go for it.
And similar story on Storage Pipe. We met them at Channel Partners in Vegas earlier this year and onboarded them sometime in the summer. And since then, they've become the easy button on the customer that has backup requirements already using Veeam. And James has gotten a couple of deals done. Rick Ellison, Mike Miller, Rob Harrop over at Aurora Organic. What I really love about them, it's an easy use case on backups, immutable backups in on-site DR backups in the cloud. They are easy. They sell managed services. They will not go there unless you, the strategist, tell them to go there. You tell them to stay clear of something, they will stay clear. They will not complicate a deal, and they will get a deal done quickly, easily, and get you revenue in all of the deals in 36 months. It's a huge use case. They also do AS400, IBM type hosting and DR, and can even sell colo, but they do backups and backups really well. They sell easy, and they make it, I don't want to jinx anything. There are big deals in play with all of the agents here that are listed under Storage Pipe. They can concentrate on the larger whales while Storage Pipe goes and gets the backup stuff done quickly, easily, and make us good money. And they are exclusive to Bridgepointe. I think that's it.
Next.
Keep going. So real quick, you've heard a little bit of a theme. I want to share this with you guys, what we're seeing in the space, right? So in the CCaaS, UCaaS space, legacy Cisco via on-premise platforms, these things are now, they were 5 years old when COVID hit, they're 8 years old now. Customers are not wanting to replace them. We're seeing a massive uptick in that space, as Brendan said earlier. In some of the most hardest verticals, so healthcare, financial, education, government, and some of the largest enterprises, right? These are the people that have been still holding on to this, kind of paperweights in the closet. The consumers of this technology are now at home. Why do you have a paperweight sitting in the closet? The other major challenges we see here is for some of these companies who have large contact centers, they have separate solutions for quality management, workforce management, outbound dialers, omni-channel capabilities. There's no unified reporting across all of it. So moving to the cloud gets them all that in one. So I would say it's a perfect storm. Keep on a lookout out there. We have dozens of very large customers engaged right now. And these are big deals. They pay high percentage points and they have great spiffs, right? And we're aligned, quite frankly, with all the right partners. So this is a space where there's not a person pretty much in that Gartner Magic Quadrant that we don't have a contract with that pays us a great amount. So leverage this space. Brendan and Hopper are phenomenal in the space. So we got a couple really great experts here. And even, like I said, the rest of us too, we implement the platform for our company. So keep that in mind. On the security side, 'tis the season for testing. Customers do annual tests to meet their insurance requirements, vulnerability tests, penetration testing. We may be a little bit late to the game, but even if they've already implemented testing through a partner, typically remediation is done by a separate company. So keep that in mind as you're out there. This is a hot topic, keep an eye out for it. On the security side, OT security is still very hot. A lot to do with kind of the geopolitical storm out there and potential targets of things like the energy sector, utility, transportation, right? As far as a cyber attack. OT security is a difficult task. There's not many companies out there that have already implemented it. If you're not familiar with OT, these are the things that kind of run the manufacturing line, right? The things that aren't typically running, the typical infrastructure. So, reach out to Eric, Nooch. They know a whole lot about this area. Ask for help. We have some good reference accounts. Security consultation, great entry point into other security opportunities. A lot of customers just need someone to come in and give them some advice about where their gaps are and what they can do about it, right? So see this as an opportunity. It's a single, typically it's a pro services engagement, but it'll typically lead to other opportunities that aren't just a one-time hit. So keep an open mind about that. See if you can position some of the security consultation out there. And then something Saad talked about earlier, as much as you may think managed backups is cloud or DR, it really is a security piece, right? So if you're breached and you can't get to the stuff that's on-prem, do you have it backed up? Do you have immutable backups? Where is that, right? And that's kind of, we've seen a ton of success here with Storage Pipe. A lot of that is, sometimes driven from a security conversation as well. So the last kind of piece here is managed IT. Companies are either short-staffed or they don't have the right talent. They're concerned as they force people back to the office that people are going to resign because they don't want to come back to the office. So they're trying to prepare for pushing some of these services onto a partner. And the other big one, and this is a common thing, people just want to focus on their business. You notice that, we hired Shaq here at Bridgepointe. Well, why is that? Because quite frankly, I don't want to run IT. Like, we want to focus on growing this business. Well, that's common with everybody else, right? So keep an eye out there for managed IT services. It comes in the form sometimes of just staff augmentation. Sometimes that leads to full-time placement. A lot of it is just, deployment, lifecycle services, help desk, it comes in a lot of forms, and we have a lot of great partners, and they're typically fairly quick sells. If you want to put a call out to Mike Miller, who recently won, Ease, as we talked about earlier, great use case for it, right? Company growing business, doesn't want to really be an IT shop. So just, let us know where we can help. These are hot topics we're seeing now. Will you go to the next slide, whoever's running the show? A couple other things here. We've recently, within the team, both sales and engineering have been NICE certified. That helped jump our contract rate up to the highest tier. So, there's a lot of money as far as selling NICE contact center. So, congratulations to the engineers and the sales leaders who took on this task of getting certified. Appreciate the commitment to it. Congrats to John Bacon, who recently got Ariaka certified. I think he did it for a pair of Nike Air Jordans, but for whatever reason you did it, John. Appreciate you doing it. And then the last thing I want to kind of put out there, Zoom is going through Zoomtopia right now. Miller and I were on site at a partner meeting on Monday. And when I looked around the room, most of the partners in the room were resellers, integrators, managed service providers. They didn't look and feel like us. We were fairly unique in the room. Which is interesting. It was interesting to hear about all the problems other people have that, quite frankly, we just push forward on. And one of the most interesting things that I learned is that Zoom Contact Center, which just launched, can only be sold by our channel until March. So all these people out there reselling Zoom Phone, Zoom Meetings, they can't sell Zoom Contact Center until March. The same thing happened with Zoom Phone almost 3 years ago, and we capitalized on that opportunity. And so my message out to everyone on this call is, anyone out there, that you're prospecting who might have 1,000 Zoom meeting licenses or Zoom meeting licenses and Zoom phone licenses, like, ask them about what they're doing in the contact center space. Zoom is going to be a massive disruptor. I've been through several demos. We're, I think, about to close our first big deal, which is not small, and it'll probably fit 80% of the use cases I've seen out there in the contact center space for most of these customers. And I can tell you, it's probably a third of the price of the Gartner Magic Quadrant competitors, right? So it's price disruptive, technology disruptive. And by the way, we have like a 4-month runway to be the only ones that can sell it. So, like, get ahead of it, ask your customers, get these deals registered, and let's make it happen. So that's it for me, you guys.
Gary, do we not have Gary here? Has he not been promoted? Let me just see real quick. We may not have him. Okay, well, I'll take this just quickly on the supplier update side. As we're signing at a pace that we haven't in the past. I think there's a few reasons for that. One, we're being opportunistic. As opportunities pop up, we want to make sure that we're not forcing horses in the race that we're not running with. Or that the customer is not interested in. If they want a specific vendor, and there's somebody that we can create a relationship with, that we can we can provide benefit to them, they can provide benefit to us, then we're going to think about bringing them in. The other one to consider, gang, here, I don't think you've seen one of these calls with this number of new logos on it, is because we've made multiple acquisitions, as you're all aware. We announced Realcomm, we announced Canon. We are in the process, for those of you who haven't seen it yet online, of formally announcing that Ali Naru has become a managing partner of the business as well. That announcement is today. In many of these cases, it's either, what Saad just mentioned, we met StoragePipe, we're like, let's go, right? I mean, you've got business going already. Some of these, like Call Tower as an example, is an arrangement that has a really good relationship with Ali Naru, and they already had a direct agreement. We're making sure that we can cover all of our partners in the, in the ecosystem. Also, as a result, we've made a couple of comp increases. As you know, this is the effective. You all know what your splits are. Nextiva is getting very aggressive, increased the comp to 27.5%. And then on the strength, frankly, of the acquisitions we just talked about, and because of the large bases that some of them carry on Comcast, we're able to increase the Comcast base rate there as well on the cable side. Also, frankly, requires us to get, some bodies and support. As you know that, these deals require, particularly on the cable side, a little bit more babysitting to get pushed through the hopper. So I don't know if Gary is on or not. I don't know if he dropped or what the story is. Gary, anything to add, sir?
Yeah, no, sorry about that. No, I think this is great. I appreciate you going through that. I think what everybody will find, though, is that our supplier strategy definitely aligns with what Mike and everybody else is seeing out there in terms of who we want to sell and what technologies that we want to be selling as well. So I think that's perfect. Just to give everybody an idea, so far we've signed 43 suppliers this year, 30 of which really came within the third quarter. And the focus is, again, on the types of technologies that we're selling, but also trying to build out the portfolio to support all of the regional players now. And you mentioned some that are on this list right now. As we go across the country, we have to recognize that there are more and more suppliers that people are selling that we may not have the relationship with yet. And we're happy to develop it if people are selling it. Just a quick mention of some other programs. Ariaka, as Mike mentioned, they've got a program going on right now, the Throttle program, where they're looking for folks to get certified, and then they will help bring you into opportunities as well. Power Play is another program that TalkDesk is working right now, where they're actually going to tag you to late stage deals based on what you've sold with them. Mike Miller was a recipient of one of those deals already. And then really just to reiterate that all of these suppliers are looking to figure out how to integrate and work with all of you, whether that be account mapping or teaming you with other folks, because they recognize that the more people they have working with you, the more opportunities and the more revenue they're going to sell together. That's what I had.
All right, push that forward there. Okay. Quickly on the VCP, we had this for 45 minutes. I will move very quickly. I'm not going to read here. I left these slides in there just to show, frankly, as we've been updating the VCP quarterly, that we're making the progress that we advertised we would make. And I think that's really the most important thing to think about, which means that now, we're past kind of message refinement, website refactor, building out the team, and now into content management, marketing automation, and account management, which were really our end third quarter and fourth quarter goals. These are our own internal rankings. You'll see that you see account management at risk. It's there as red. We're being honest with our own scores. It's there because, frankly, we went from a plan that was going to be to add a couple of people to bringing in a few very large businesses that we now, give us a bigger head start, but we have more to integrate, right? So we've got some work to do there. But if you'll move the slide forward there for me, Kat. A little bit on the brand, you'll be seeing new PowerPoints, overview presentations, etc., released out to the partner portal likely within the next week. As you can imagine, we just sort of did a slight adjustment in messaging. We have to do it again now that we have lifecycle services as part of the story. So we're just adjusting the message slightly. Your role as a tech leader is changing, but the challenge is the same. Still comes down to the time and choice. You need to choose the right solutions and deliver value quickly so that you can deliver on business outcomes. We give you the strategy and support to make that a reality. Move me forward there, Kat, if you would. We are the nation's leading technology advisory firm. Now, you may say, hey, we've been using the word strategy. One of the reasons that we are leveraging the word advisory is because we have to describe what it is that all of you do on a day-to-day basis. and address the fact that now we have services that we're going to charge for, frankly, right? And what you all do out there is advisory. You don't pay your financial advisor, and we operate in the same fashion. So we like the way it works on SEO. It works in that way. We help leaders to evaluate, implement, and manage technology suppliers. Simply, first, we are proven technology strategists to help you evaluate and procure from 150 supplier partners. We are an experienced team of implementation and project management professionals to help you speed that time to value. And we are trusted analysts to monitor and manage your ongoing technology and mobility expenses. Whether you leverage that, whether you do in your day-to-day basis, sum of 2 and 3, or whether you want to leverage our back office and make those chargeable, is the way that you go to market. But this language is germane across the way that we go to business. So you'll see some of the change that we've had to make to address some of the new services that we've acquired. Click me forward there, Kat. A new overview presentation that includes all of that and has been vetted as a first appointment presentation by our sales leaders, and some of you in the field will be out on the portal this week. Next couple of slides, I'm not talking about as much as we're going through, as much as just to say we committed by the fourth quarter that we were going to have content for you almost daily. I took this screenshot late last week. The resources page on the website looks completely different today. That is because something is being posted of quality and value for you to leverage in your marketing every single day. And we'll give you some advice on how and where to do that. Click me to the next slide. We're also now rolling out an episode of the podcast. This page looks different on the website daily weekly as well. And we're continuing that trend. It's now been embedded into the supplier programs that Gary and I will be rolling out to our suppliers in the next couple of days. Right, Gary? I hope next couple of days, I think. Okay, we're good to go there. Move me forward. By the way, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't spent the time, go to the website, click on resources. It's sorted by blog, podcast, etc. When you drive down, you'll see that we're beginning to drive them out as authors, so that very soon we'll have populated pages for all of the SEs and the executives with multiple posts that they've made that you can reference to say, hey, this person's joining me in a meeting. We'll be giving you more tips on that. But what can you do today? You all know we've advertised to you that we are in the process now of beginning to build out the strategist pages. We have the first couple in pilot right now, and we'll be introducing that program in the coming weeks. And all that will tie neatly with all of the social. But some of you have said, hey, you're posting every day. What should I be doing? All right, we're planning a series of social media trainings in December and January, so that you really understand what activities will drive traffic back to you. But here is the simple pro tip today. All right. First, make sure that you're following us on social media. We want that 3.3K number that you see in the middle there to be a little bit higher. But that will also, by the way, enable you to see our posts in your feed. All right. That's 1. 2, you should set some times throughout the week to review your feed for new posts from us. You should do that several times a week. If you're looking for when that's most appropriate, LinkedIn traffic is hottest on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Pick 2 of those days, log in at 10 o'clock your time, and do some activity, because that's also when people are most busy on it. We're suggesting when you see content from us that you should like it, and you should comment inside of our posts. The reason for that is that when you do that, our posts get driven to your feed and move to your connections. And then once you do that, you should hit the repost button. You'll see it out there. Now be careful. You'll see there when you hit it, it says share to with your own thoughts or repost. Repost is the way to go. The reason why is that LinkedIn looks at you sharing and making content as you stealing someone else's content and minimizing that, which is why you should comment inside of our post and then repost it to your page. That shares out Bridgepointe content to all of your connections. We'll be systemizing all of this, but really simple. Pick a couple days, put it on your calendar, follow us to check what's out there, post no more than once a day, and do it generally about 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday. Very simple tips as you go through that. And then the other thing to mention is if you do listen to podcasts, whether that be on YouTube or Apple Pod or a Google Podcast, whatever that is, look up the podcast, The Bridge. Follow, rate, comment on those as well. It will help us drive that content. So those are the things that you could be doing right now to be putting out 2, 3, 4 posts a week. Some simple pro tips there. If you do have any questions while we're in our last couple of minutes here, the Q&A is open. If you want to do that, we can also open it up to you if that's necessary. Next slide for me, if you will. On the system side of the house, again, just to say we've completed most of what we said that we were going to complete over the first couple of quarters. You've heard us mention that we basically we were hoping to do a quarterly release of the signal. We sort of smashed it all together into a giant December release. I have the 22nd in here, somewhere between roughly the 15th or the 22nd. You should expect to begin to see information on the rollout of the signal. Our pilot groups are active now, Gary, or in the process, active now, effectively?
We have meetings scheduled in the next day.
Okay, perfect. And that includes, by the way, a representative list of strategists who raised their hand to say, I'll work hard with you, team, for a month, for 4 to 5 weeks. Let's make sure that, for those of you who did sign up are engaged and we're working with you, but you'll have your login shortly. And then in early December, between the 2nd and 3rd week, we'll be rolling it out across the board. The learning management system will be probably rolling out in the early part of next year, sort of fell behind some of the other things that we were working on. Click the next slide for me. I think a quick video should play for those of you who maybe didn't get the opportunity to see it in Ojai. Many of the things that we had talked about doing for you, making it easy to import, making it super easy for you to pull down information from Zoom info as you're entering leads, booking very easily meetings and seeing availability directly within your prospect records with our teams. Look at that. There's a cable and access finder embedded directly in the system. You'll be able to do
just to let everybody know, we found the data center tool that we're going to be using and embedding in the system. I'm going to sign that agreement this week.
Okay, so we're hoping then that's in their first quarter, probably not by December, but that's in there as well. Full pipeline commissioning. We are catching up very fast to the tools that are out there and hoping to, eliminate our reliance on some of the other TSB tools that are out there very, very quickly. So lots coming up. Again, pilot starts now. Everybody else will be in the system in December. Our goal is to have everybody operating out of the same system for both lead generation, for automated marketing, for all of the other things that come along with this, and finally, all the way through pre-booking and commissioning, all in the same system. When we come back off of our holiday slumber, we should all be working together in that system. That's our goal. So I'll stop there. If there are any questions, you can feel free to post them in the Q&A. And with 3 to 4 minutes left, I'm going to pass to Brian to just talk about the channel in general.
Yeah, Kink, a great job. Lot of amazing stuff. So as you can see, we are expanding and growing and moving to different parts of the country. So it's only natural that people bump into one another. I view this as a benefit. In my opinion, it's an opportunity where if we do it right, all ships will rise with the tide. A free-for-all where one person might be throwing another person under the bus is not an option. We have successfully proven in the past that if we can create the right environment when we are talking to end user customers, it truly is a 1 + 1 is greater than 2. We ask that everybody's professional when it gets brought up by a customer. If it does arise, I implore you to bring it to someone in the sales leadership group to figure out collaboratively with everyone on the best strategy where ideally we all win. So we have had a situation like this for years in California, particularly the West Coast, or particularly, Northern California. And way more times than not, it was a benefit. And so I just want to make sure, and I have a couple success stories in the last 2 weeks, one actually this morning. and one with Charlie and a member of his team and someone here in Northern California. And the customer, I think, not only appreciates it and feels that he's being or she are being served better, but ultimately, I think we're going to get greater wallet share from the customer. So any questions regarding that, you know, contact me directly, or Charlie or Mel or Dom or anyone else. So, you know, like I said, we all have to be professional. As it says in here, we're individual sellers, but one company, and just need to act accordingly. Kinky, you want to talk about the email list?
Yeah, just quickly, gang, you know, everybody does their own marketing. You should, and we are not discouraging you shaking trees. That's what we're out here to do. Just one note that I want to make so that everybody understands the challenge that it may ensue. If you are doing blind emails, not using a system to manage it, what have you, it is absolutely a requirement that you offer an opt-out at the bottom. You can copy text from any email that you've seen. If you want some feedback on that, you can certainly email marketing@bpt3.net and we can give you some boilerplate language. That and the source of your list. And I mean this, you know, it's really important to understand that it is a legitimately sourced list, is really important. If you have any questions on it, please let us know. The reason that we share that is this: it only takes one end user to call us a spammer before we all have problems with our marketing. And this kind of gets back to the we're individual sellers, but one company methodology, right? We're trying to build a brand here that we're all living under. We are a technology advisory firm. We want to be thought of like a McKinsey or, you know, like one of those top tier consulting firms. We got to make sure that we're at least semi-organized on this topic. So if you have questions about your activities and how it may affect all of our ability to market, just reach out to marketing. We're not here to say no. We're here to figure out a way that you can leverage the information that you have to successfully market. But we have to be very careful about spam rules and, you know, and be very careful about how we send out email. So we're encouraging you to just communicate with us so we can figure out the best way to support you to get done what you want to get done. So that's it for me. Brian, Scott. We do have one very good question. Brian, what is the hair product that you use? Because your flow is always generally spectacular and you get a little bit of sticking up in the front always. It's great. What hair products?
Grease, not natural grease. No hair
Just
product.
natural grease at this
Just
point.
natural.
So what you're saying is your hair looks like that without any additional accoutrement.
It's my
Congratulations to you.
It's my pillow.
Well, there was the answer. Any other Q&A? We don't have any other in the chat. Scott, parting words?
No, great call, guys. And for all you guys, I think, you know, me and Miller constantly want to make this call better. We're trying to get you as much content, relevant content as possible, and prepare. Actually, hang on a sec. There's a question here, but and just get prepared. The team put a lot of time into this. Question came in on the gross commission qualifier. I believe the regs are on the portal, Kinka, under contests.
Yes.
But very simple, yeah. So very simply, it's the total gross commission that Bridgepointe expects to receive based on the contracts that you sign. That's how we, and you know, obviously getting to $20,000 in total gross commission is the number that we set for this year. So hopefully that answers that question. If not, you know, don't hesitate to follow up with me or anybody else. But it also is outlined very specifically on the portal. Good question. But yeah, so any feedback that you guys can offer to us, we'd appreciate it. We do spend a fair amount of time getting ready for this call. Want to make it relevant to you guys. We know you guys are busy. And thank you very much. And thanks for all the panelists, all the work that went into this. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'd add one thing, guys, or two things before we get off. So we highlighted those 3 or 4 wins earlier, and then Mike also went over the technology update. The one consistent theme here is, you know, we're selling a lot of services that do not require a physical technician to come on site, deliver a circuit, tag it, extend the MPO, and all the crap that goes along with it that takes months and months and months. don't get me wrong, we still sell a lot of that, but the nice thing about everything that was talked about today, the time to realize compensation for all of us is substantially faster than if we're selling a 20, let's look at Dan Fishman's example. He sells an 85K Zoom deal. If you sell an 85K network deal today, we're getting paid potentially in 2024 versus Dan could be getting paid in February or January. So we don't turn our nose up to any deal, don't get me wrong, but in situations like that, I mean, it's a significant income mover in a very short period of time. And the other thing too, and I'm glad Mike had members of his team and also introduced Dave Hopper as another resource, like that's a huge value add and differentiator. Like on these big, sticky, complex, hairy deals, get a smart person alongside of you. Like it makes a ton of sense. And same thing with sales leadership. Like they're only going to help drive the deal down the field and also find new opportunities within the accounts. Because sometimes, 4 years hear things differently than just 2. And then the last thing before we go is, if you turn on the TV or read a blog or whatever, the world's ending, the economy's over, and everybody's getting fired and what have you. So we started the company in 2002, similar to Charlie, in the .com implosion, right? It was probably the worst up until that point, other than the Great Depression. It was probably the worst economy in the history of the United States. Then 2008 and 2009 hit. We had our best years in those years because customers that are historically lazy, and if it's, they have the mentality, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like they have to make changes to cut costs, get more efficient, optimize things. In 2008 and 2009, our product set was a lot more limited than it is today. I mean, a lot of the new suppliers that Gary mentioned that we're bringing on, we're very opportunistic on those, but a lot of times they're being driven by customers that are trying to solve problems that literally affect their bottom line. So I think, we need to take advantage of it. And quite honestly, like internally here, we're really, holding ourselves to a high standard of taking advantage of customers that want to enact change. So with the Canon Lifecycle Services Group, now we can take customers that are looking at saving money, and we can now make money off of that, right? So we have 4 BPO opportunities right now where customers are looking for not only CCaaS, but then also outsourcing the actual physical butts in the seats to save money. Completely different talk track than historically. Like in many instances, we're selling bodies, right? MSPs that are providing CISO type services because people can't afford $400,000 CISOs. And that's assuming they can find them. So I just want to make sure that we're expanding the conversations. The engineers can do that. Sometimes if we kind of get in a tunnel vision on talking about network and maybe UCaaS or maybe CCaaS or maybe Colo, when you get into security and you get into other IT services, I mean, there's big money. And I think the worse the economy gets, the better those opportunities bubble up. So that's it. I know we went over, but thanks everybody. Great job for everyone who spoke. And hopefully everyone, or as many people can possible, can make it to the holiday party. As Scott said, it'll be a great time. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you.